Well then. All right, Fern, you ready?
Yes.
And 3, 2. You're looking at Fern now, always.
Always looking for it?
Yeah, always look at Fern. Don't look at
Yes.
me.
I know. I hate to look right on the camera.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Fern.
Ms. McIntosh, the BCP is standing against vaccination. Just tell me why the party has decided to take that stance.
Well, the Bahamas Constitution Party really have a issue with an untested experimental drug being tested on the Bahamian people. We know it's being done worldwide, but that's not the major issue. We are concerned about the Bahamian people. But our bigger issue is forced vaccination and the demeanor, I guess, of the government that persons may have to actually take a vaccine. They want to maintain their jobs. I know they are denying it, and they're saying that is not the position of the government. But we believe, based on the Constitution, we go right back there. Based on the Constitution, the Bahamas Constitution Party believes that every Bahamian have a right to say no if they choose so, based on Article 16, which is a right to life. If you believe your life will be threatened by something, you have a right to say no. According to Article 17, if you believe it will torture you, injure you, intimidate you if you do it, then you have a right to say no. And according to Article 22, it is the right of freedom of conscience. And so the Bahamas Constitution Party stands there in regards to Bahamians having a right to no forced vaccination or taking it at all.
Piggybacking what you said about choice, if you mentioned that Bahamians should have more choice, so what would be your stance if they brought in the Pfizer vaccine, maybe Johnson & Johnson?
Well, number one, some persons, while we stand against vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccination, we do believe that the Bahamian people have a right to choose what is best, what is in their best interest and for their best health. But we do believe that the government should have made other choices available. Some people are concerned about the AstraZeneca, but the other choices should be made available. Some persons have done research and believe that other vaccines might have been better for them. So they do have a right of choice. Our right of choice, we are talking beyond just the right of choice of which vaccine they should take, but actually whether they should take the vaccine. And that's the bigger picture, that's the bigger issue of taking the vaccine if they do not want to take it, them nor their children.
And from a personal standpoint, would you take the vaccine?
Personally, I am not taking the vaccine. I will not be vaccinated in the foreseeable future. I prefer to stand with the people who are not vaccinated, which is close to 90% of the persons who are not vaccinated, and probably 80% of the people who choose not to be vaccinated. Because of the point of pushing this agenda for the freedom of people's choice to say no, that's why I stand in that regard. Now, let me mention that the Bahamas Constitution Party has taken this stance. Meanwhile, all of our leaders and our candidates, we have not mandated whether they should be vaccinated or not vaccinated. It is their personal choice. The Bahamas Constitution Party stands very strongly when it comes to the personal choice, the constitutional rights of Bahamians to do whatever. And while our group as a party have made that determination, our members have a right to do whatever it is they feel.
Now, you know, this is the political season. The government has mandated that persons who are campaigning have to be vaccinated. So how is your party dealing with that particular issue?
We're going to deal with it. As I said, I'm putting myself out front. I will not be vaccinated. I do intend to do a high level of campaign as we get into this last stage. We are cautious as the government and the concerns for the Bahamian people. So we've determined to a great degree that we are going to leave a lot of our literature just on the gate or at the gate or the door of persons. And we are going to do much more social media in this regard. We know people are concerned. In fact, people were concerned even before this mandate, whether people should come to their doors. We are encouraging people, obviously, to follow the protocols in regards to social distancing, wearing your mask, be careful about strangers and those kinds of environment. And so we will follow that in this regard, but we do believe in regards to that mandate, I do believe the government is out of order. Saying that candidates must be vaccinated in order to campaign. I believe it's political persecution. That's I termed it since last week when they said so. And so I don't believe that they should have even taken that stand in that regard. Just pushing the protocols to be a little bit more restrictive would have been good enough. but not saying that the candidates have to be. Because are you suppressing both the candidates, the parties, your opposition, by saying that the candidates, if they're not vaccinated, they cannot campaign? And that's why I believe it was necessary for me to take a strong stand to say that I am not going to be vaccinated in the foreseeable future by the AstraZeneca or any available in country. If I decide so later, that would be a matter of choice, but it will not be now. I will not comply in this regard.
So you're recommending that the government removes the RT-PCR test and replace it with just a rapid antigen test? Tell me more.
Two things in regards to the PCR test. Number one, the PCR test is very expensive. And Bahamians are under very great oppression in regards to that test, especially when they're traveling throughout the Family Islands. And I believe that added with $140 to a ticket, in addition to travel visa, that should be removed. In addition, I think I did have something on the news that the CDC indicated that the PCR test is faulty, and so that should also be taken into consideration. Meanwhile, we want them to move to the antigen testing, the rapid antigen testing. Not only that, it's quicker time, it's much more inexpensive, and it can be used across the board. That if we're concerned for people who are not vaccinated, that these rapid antigen tests can be taken at the door of some places, whether restaurants, stadiums. And so we just have to look at how we can manage this pandemic in a more efficient way, where we can continue to go on with the economy, continue to allow people to live, but also be safe in this regard. My other concern is really the fact that the government of the Bahamas has allowed visitors to come in the Bahamas without a negative COVID-19 test. I think in that regard that they've dropped the ball. They've dropped the ball in that regard, and they should have not removed that requirement. Even the great United States, even if you're vaccinated or not, requires that people have a negative test, a negative COVID-19 test in order to enter its country. Why would we do that? The government, I believe, in this regard has put money above the lives of the Bahamian people, and this recent surge, as we call it, it is, I believe, based on the fact that there are visitors coming to the country, interacting with people in the tourism industry, in the hotels, and they could have been positive in this regard. And so that is a very big concern for us. We're recommending that they immediately seek that visitors actually have a negative test in order to enter the country.
Okay. Any other concerns relating to the...
Yes, I do have a concern. My concern, and I want to refute what the Prime Minister said last night in his speech. We all listened to his speech. I think he put his tone down based on what we all were expecting in this regard, but that will not cause us to put down our guards regarding making sure that there is no legislation, no policy that goes towards mandatory vaccination. We're working with sectors across the country to make sure, and you'll see in short order, to make sure that the government will be resisted strongly if they take that approach. But my next concern is that the Prime Minister said in his speech last night that bush medicine will not do. I take exception to that. Many of us take exception to that because the leaves of the tree, he quoted scripture, so I'm going to go behind him. The leaves of the tree is for the healing of the nation. And if the Bahamas, which is rich in many herbal medicines like cerasee and aloe and ginger and fever grass, these are things which many of us has lived on throughout the pandemic. That's why none of us have caught COVID. Because if you build the immune system, and that is what our national conversation should be about, causing Bahamians to build their immune system. Once you build the immune system, it doesn't matter what variant come in the country, we are going to be able to resist it. And so the conversation ought to be, how do we drink as much bush tea as we can? How do we enrich our body, our immunity by eating good, by having multivitamins and all of the things that will help us do that? One thing I think this government missed on, when we were giving out food during the pandemic, we never gave out vitamins. And I said that from the very beginning. Why aren't we giving little bags of vitamins for months supply? I think it is necessary that when we have a conversation about what is going to temper this disease among our people, we must look at all options, all alternative options. And part of that is eating good, making your food your medicine, and your medicine your food. And also, if the government is providing food for the people, then they should provide healthy alternatives, not just dry food like rice and grits and sardines, but vegetables and garlic and onions. Bamsi is there. Shouldn't Bamsi have been a part of the distribution of food when it comes to vegetables and fruits? So the government, I really lay most of this at the feet of the government. Because I said this from day one, that if we are going to supply food for the Bahamian people during a pandemic, let's supply food that helps them build their immunity and build their capacity to resist this disease. So again, I want to say that the Prime Minister is really out of order when he says bush medicine will not do. We reject that unequivocally, and we believe that most people should understand that bush medicine is going to help you. Cerasee, aloe, ginger, fever grass tea, all of these teas are in my yard. I've drank them all along. People are drinking them. Please don't stop because the Prime Minister says so. Keep doing it because that is what's going to cause you to build your immune against any variant, any variant of this virus in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I want him to know that we stand strongly for the rights of Bahamians to choose. That is the most important thing. They must be able to choose what they put in their body. And we're encouraging them to do the best and make their medicine their food, and their food their medicine. And the wonderful bush medicine we have in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, continue to drink.
Okay, now, the election is, time for election is winding down.
Yes.
Let's talk of a snap election. If it doesn't take place in May of next year, how confident are you with your party going into the election?
The Bahamas Constitution Party has a strong mandate for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, in that we believe in good governance. We've spoken about it since the years that we came into operation. We've taken this opportunity over the last 23 years to build what is necessary to take the Bahamas in another direction. I'm finished with a book. It's on the market now called How to Reconstruct a Nation. It is a book that we've been putting together over the past 20 years. It's complete. It's now ready. It will be officially launched in terms of the actual hard copy of the book, at least within the next couple of weeks. But it is on wherever ebooks are sold. How to Reconstruct a Nation. The author is S Ali McIntosh. We are confident that this agenda that comes to the nation will allow the Bahamian people to see that what we have been doing in terms of governance has not been working, and what we will do as a government, the Bahamas Constitution Party, it will work. Of course, there are struggles in the campaign. We have endorsed we've ratified at least close to 20 candidates. We are still working with the independents. We are still working with the third parties to have a collaboration of all of the talents that are necessary. The difficulty is, is that third parties, when you have third parties all saying the same thing, it means obviously the agenda to make, put it all together. But the difficulty is everybody wants to lead. But the point of that is that's an easy fix when we actually put all our talents together towards the idea of making the Bahamas great again. For lack of a better word, but we can do that if we put all our talents together. And so I'm calling on third parties, I'm calling on independents to stand with an organization like the Bahamas Constitution Party that has spent 23 years working towards making good governance real and keeping the government's feet to the fire when it comes to the constitutional rights of Bahamians. And so the Bahamas Constitution Party is inviting candidates to come forward, that if they should call a snap election, we will be ready with all of our candidates. Even if we don't have 39 candidates, we will be on the ballot. You can be assured of that. And we are prepared in collaboration with any number of persons being elected to govern the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Okay, thank you so much.
Gotcha.
Thank you, sir.